Once upon a time, in a humble hut nestled deep within an enchanting forest, lived a brother and sister named Hansel and Gretel. They shared this modest abode with their father, a poor woodcutter, whose heart bore the heavy burden of losing his wife when the children were very young. In time, their father remarried, bringing a stepmother into their lives. However, her arrival marked the beginning of a sorrowful chapter for Hansel and Gretel. The stepmother, cold-hearted and unkind, made life unbearable for the siblings. She would eat her fill and leave only scraps for the children, who worked tirelessly from dawn till dusk to complete their endless chores. Whenever Hansel and Gretel tried to confide in their father about their plight, their words fell on deaf ears, as he was under the spell of his new wife's deceitful charm. Each day, the amount of food dwindled, and the stepmother's demands grew harsher. One desperate evening, Gretel pleaded with her father, "Please, father. We toil all day and are left starving." But the stepmother's response was a cruel slap and harsh words, branding them as ungrateful. That night, they were cast out of the hut, forced to sleep in the bitter cold with only their thin, tattered clothes for warmth. As the first light of dawn broke, Gretel, with a resolute heart, turned to Hansel. "We cannot stay here any longer," she declared. "We must escape today. There must be more food in the forest than what we get at home." "But what if we get lost?" Hansel asked, his voice trembling with fear. "I will bring bread and leave a trail of crumbs to guide us back if we need to return," Gretel assured him. And so, with hope in their hearts, they ventured into the depths of the forest, leaving behind their sorrowful past. Deeper and deeper they went, with Gretel meticulously dropping breadcrumbs along the way. However, the forest offered no sustenance, the trees bore no fruit, and the ground was barren of nuts and berries. Despair set in as the children realized they might starve. When they attempted to retrace their steps using the breadcrumb trail, they found it gone, devoured by the forest birds. As night fell and the chilling howls of wolves echoed around them, Hansel and Gretel huddled together in fear and hunger. Just as all hope seemed lost, Gretel spotted a faint light in the distance. "Look!" she exclaimed. "Someone must live there. Perhaps they will be kind and help us." The siblings hurried towards the light, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and hope. To their amazement, they discovered a house made entirely of candy. With walls of gingerbread, a roof of icing, and decorations of candy canes and gumdrops, it was a sight to behold. Unable to resist, they began to nibble at the sugary walls. "Who is nibbling on my house?" a sharp voice rang out. Turning around, they saw an old witch with a green face glaring at them. "If you please, ma'am," Gretel said sweetly, curtsying. "We were so hungry and your house looked so delicious." "Well, well," the witch replied with a sudden gentleness, "come inside. I'll get you something to eat." Believing their luck had turned, Hansel and Gretel eagerly entered the candy house. Inside, the witch fed them a hearty meal of soup and bread. But as they finished their meal, they noticed piles of bones in the corners of the room, sending a chill down their spines. Exhausted, they tried to push these fears aside and fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, Hansel awoke to find himself trapped in a cage. The witch cackled, "Your brother will stay there until he is fat enough to make a fine meal for me." Turning to Gretel, she commanded, "And you will do as I say." Gretel was forced to work tirelessly, while Hansel was fed regularly. Every morning, the witch would check Hansel's finger to see how plump he was getting. Clever Hansel, however, held out a thin bone instead of his finger, tricking the nearsighted witch into thinking he was still too skinny. Days turned into weeks, and the witch grew impatient. "No more waiting. Tonight I will feast on the boy, skinny or not," she declared. Ordering Gretel to start the oven, the witch instructed her to climb inside to check if it was hot enough. Gretel, thinking quickly, pretended she didn't know how. "Nonsense," the witch snapped. "Just go in. Please show me how, Gretel pleaded. Foolish girl, grumbled the witch as she stepped inside the oven. In that instant, Gretel slammed the door shut, trapping the witch inside. Hansel! Gretel cried, rushing to her brother. We're saved! She searched for the key to his cage and found it hidden under a heavy barrel. As they embraced, they discovered the barrel was filled with precious jewels. Their pockets laden with riches, Hansel and Gretel fled the witch's house. They followed a path until it widened into a road, where they flagged down a passing horseman. Offering him a jewel, they secured a ride back to their father's hut. Their father, overjoyed and tearful, welcomed them with open arms. They learned that their wicked stepmother had passed away, freeing them from her cruelty forever. Hansel, Gretel, and their father lived happily together in their forest hut, their hearts light with joy and their future bright with promise. And so, they lived contentedly for many years to come.